At the beginning of the drama, we are introduced to our cute female lead, Tian. She tells us a little about herself, saying that she absolutely loves natural melodies. In fact, she has a special talent. She can hear beautiful sounds in nature that most people don't even notice. Because of that, she always carries a recorder with her and records those sounds whenever she gets the chance. It's been her favorite hobby ever since she was a child. Her biggest dream is to become a famous music composer someday. However, Tian doesn't have any family left to support her. To make a living, she works as a delivery girl. We also learn that she lives alone in a small house by the seaside, which was left to her by her late father. Just then, one of her friends calls and tells her, "I left a ticket for your favorite singer Zheng's concert at your house." Hearing this, Tian becomes extremely excited because Zheng is her biggest idol. She has admired him for years and dreams of seeing him perform live. After that, we are introduced to the main male lead of the drama, Ling. He is a world-famous superstar who became a successful singer and idol at a very young age. Because of his incredible popularity, he has millions of devoted fans. No matter where he goes, crowds of fans always surround him. But despite his fame, Ling wishes he could keep his private life a secret. Unfortunately, that never happens because his obsessive fans follow him everywhere. Today, in order to avoid the media and his fans, he disguises himself as a construction worker and quietly sneaks out through a side exit, while his assistant distracts everyone by pretending to be him. Later, Ling arrives at the location of his latest photo shoot. Meanwhile, Tian also arrives at the same venue. She mistakenly believes that Zheng's concert is being held there today. In reality, the concert is scheduled for another day, and she's accidentally walked into Ling's photo shoot instead. The security guards immediately push her out of the venue, thinking she's just another fan trying to sneak inside. Here, we're also introduced to another celebrity named Shasha, a famous model. She has a huge crush on Ling and is constantly looking for opportunities to get closer to him. Unfortunately for her, Ling doesn't pay any attention to her at all. A little later, Ling steps aside to answer an important phone call. The conversation is private, and he doesn't want anyone else to hear it. At the same time, Tian is standing nearby, using her recorder to capture the sounds of birds and insects around her. However, when Ling notices her holding the recorder, he immediately assumes she's one of his obsessive fans secretly recording his private conversation. Without giving her a chance to explain, Ling snatches the recorder away. The problem is that Tian has countless valuable recordings stored inside it. So, determined to get it back, she tracks down Ling's next public event, where he's meeting his fans. As soon as she arrives, she asks him to return her recorder. But once again, the security guards push her outside before she can even speak to him. As Tian walks away, she notices Ling's posters everywhere. She also sees hundreds of crazy fans waiting just to catch a glimpse of him. Looking at all of this, she can't help feeling disappointed. The funny thing is that she isn't even Ling's fan. Her favorite idol has always been Zheng. The only reason she keeps chasing Ling is because she desperately wants her recorder back. Meanwhile, Ling heads to his next job, which turns out to be a reality show. For the program, the staff transform him into an ordinary taxi driver with makeup and a disguise. His mission is simple: pick up random passengers and see whether anyone recognizes him. The first few passengers recognize him almost immediately. Then, the next passenger turns out to be none other than Tian. Surprisingly, Tian doesn't even bother looking at him. Seeing this, Ling asks, "Don't you know who the famous singer Ling is?" The moment Tian hears his name, she starts criticizing him without holding back. She says, "No, I don't think he's even that handsome. His voice isn't that special either. I seriously don't understand why people are so crazy about him." Hearing someone insult him so confidently, Ling immediately starts arguing with her. By this point, Tian has also recognized that the taxi driver is actually Ling himself. She once again demands that he return her recorder. While they're arguing, the taxi suddenly crashes into something on the road, causing a minor accident. Both of them are rushed to the hospital. Fortunately, neither of them suffers any serious injuries. Even so, Ling loses his temper and blames Tian for everything. After calming down a little, Ling decides to return her recorder once and for all, so he never has to deal with this troublesome girl again. Unfortunately, the accident has damaged the recorder. When Tian checks it, she realizes it's completely useless now. Every single recording she had collected over the years has been erased. Heartbroken, she asks Ling, "How am I supposed to fix this now?" But Ling doesn't take her words seriously at all. Furious and disappointed, Tian storms out of the hospital. Later that evening, Tian is traveling somewhere on a bus. Suddenly, one of the passengers gets off, loses his balance, and collapses onto the road. Seeing this, Tian immediately starts calling for help, hoping someone nearby will come and assist the injured man. Among the passengers, there was a doctor named Yoon. He immediately rushed over to help the injured man and successfully saved his life. Afterward, Dr. Yoon said that if he hadn't treated him right away, the man probably would have died on the spot. Watching the whole thing, Tian is completely captivated by Dr. Yoon's kindness. Seeing how calm and caring he is, she instantly starts developing a crush on him. Later, Tian returns home. However, as soon as she enters the house, she notices that someone else is already inside. A moment later, we discover that the person is none other than Ling. Ling casually tells himself that he has officially purchased this house. Since it's located right beside the ocean, the place is peaceful and beautiful. He believes it's the perfect home where he can finally escape his crazy fans and enjoy some privacy. The funny part is that both of them think they're the only person living in the house. That night, Tian starts working on one of her music compositions. She quietly hums the melody while preparing something to eat in the kitchen. Ling hears the mysterious humming echoing through the house. Since he believes he's alone, he immediately starts thinking the place is haunted. Terrified, he slowly walks outside to investigate. When he notices a shadow moving in the darkness, he nearly jumps out of his skin. A second later, both of them finally see each other. They freeze in shock. Then, without wasting a second, they start arguing. Tian angrily shouts, "How dare you enter my house without my permission?" Before Ling even gets a chance to explain himself, Tian pushes him outside and slams the door shut. Poor Ling keeps knocking and shouting from outside for quite a while. Then, to make things even worse, it starts raining heavily. With nowhere else to go, he's forced to spend the entire night sleeping inside a small doghouse outside the house. The next morning, Tian wakes up and finds Ling sleeping inside the doghouse. The first thing she does is secretly take a picture of him. Then she tries to wake him up, only to realize that he has a very high fever after spending the whole night in the rain. Feeling guilty, she brings him inside the house, takes care of him, and even makes him a bowl of hot soup. After recovering a little, Ling calls his manager over to check on him. When the manager arrives and sees Tian inside the house, he immediately panics. He starts scolding Ling and says, "If the media catches the two of you living together like this, it'll become a huge dating scandal." Meanwhile, Tian brings out all of her house documents. After checking them carefully, she is shocked to discover that the house is now legally registered under Ling's name. Soon, Tian learns that her friend Xia is the one who sold the house to Ling. At the same time, when Ling realizes that the house was sold without Tian's knowledge or permission, he genuinely starts feeling sorry for her. Not long afterward, Tian angrily goes to confront Xia. Here we see a flashback. Earlier, Xia had been extremely worried because her brother was seriously ill. She was discussing the situation with Tian. That day, Tian had gotten completely drunk. While she was intoxicated, she unknowingly handed over the house documents to Xia. Since she was completely drunk, she didn't remember any of it afterward. A few days later, Xia received an excellent offer and ended up selling Tian's house to Ling. After hearing the entire truth, Tian becomes furious. She starts hitting Xia while crying and says, "This house is my life. It's everything I have. Every corner of it holds memories of my father. No matter what happens, I want my house back, and you're going to help me get it." After calming herself down, Tian returns to Ling's house. She politely tells him that she still has some personal belongings inside and asks for permission to collect them. Ling agrees and says, "Fine, take your things and leave as quickly as possible." But Tian has no intention of giving up. She says, "I'll repay every penny in installments. Please sell the house back to me." Unfortunately, Ling refuses and throws her out once again. However, the stubborn Tian secretly sneaks back into the house. Later that evening, after finishing work, Ling returns home. To his surprise, he finds Tian comfortably sleeping on the sofa. He immediately orders her to leave, but this time Tian confidently blackmails him. She says, "Remember that picture of you sleeping inside the doghouse? If you force me out, I'll post it on social media and make it go viral. From now on, I'm staying here." As Ling tries to grab her phone, the two of them accidentally end up standing extremely close to each other. At that exact moment, a reporter suddenly pops out from behind a nearby dumpster and secretly takes a photo of them together. The following morning, that photo spreads all over the internet. Meanwhile, when Tian arrives at work, she notices everyone staring at her strangely. She has no idea why they're looking at her like that. Just then, Xia calls her and asks, "What exactly did you do with Ling? Your picture with him has gone completely viral online, and everyone is saying that the two of you are living together." After hearing the news, Tian becomes extremely worried. She immediately rushes to Ling's house. At that exact moment, Ling's manager also arrives. Not wanting the manager to see Tian inside the house, Ling quickly hides her inside a cabinet. The manager then tells Ling that the only way to get rid of the dating rumors is to pretend to be in a relationship with the famous model, Shasha. According to him, if the public believes Ling is dating Shasha, everyone will eventually forget about the leaked photo. Meanwhile, Tian is still trapped inside the cabinet. She can barely breathe anymore. Unable to hold on any longer, she suddenly opens the cabinet door and walks out. The manager is completely shocked. Seeing Tian inside Ling's house once again, he immediately starts thinking that there must actually be something going on between the two of them. Otherwise, why would this girl keep showing up here? Meanwhile, we're introduced to Ling's father. He is actually a famous surgeon. Here, we get a flashback from the past. Ling's father had always dreamed that his son would become a successful surgeon just like him. However, Ling had completely different dreams. The two of them argued constantly because Ling had no interest in becoming a doctor. Instead, he wanted to become a singer. In the end, he followed his own dream and eventually became one of the biggest superstars in the country. Back at the house, Tian continues living there by blackmailing Ling. One day, she notices an invitation to a celebrity party where her favorite singer, Zheng, is scheduled to appear. Immediately, she asks Ling for an invitation card. She says, "It's been my lifelong dream to meet Zheng. I even want to show him one of the songs I've composed myself." Hearing that, Ling can't help laughing. He sarcastically says, "You? A music composer?" Then he flatly refuses to give her an invitation. Meanwhile, we learn that Dr. Yoon was once a student of Ling's father. In fact, Dr. Yoon is considered his best student, and Ling's father treats him almost like his own son. No matter how hard Tian tries to win Ling over by cooking delicious meals for him, he still refuses to give her an invitation card. But Tian is an incredibly stubborn girl, so instead of giving up, she simply goes to the party without an invitation. As expected, the security guards stop her and throw her out once again. Ling's parents also arrive at the party, along with Dr. Yoon. While standing nearby, Dr. Yoon suddenly recognizes Tian as the same girl from the bus incident. He walks over to her and kindly says, "You can come inside with me." Then he brings Tian into the party as his partner. Thanks to Dr. Yoon, Tian's dream finally comes true. She gets the chance to meet her idol Zheng in person, and even receives his autograph. Meanwhile, Ling is standing with his parents. However, it's obvious that his relationship with them, especially with his father, isn't very good. A little later, Ling's father introduces a beautiful young woman named Meng Meng. He has secretly brought her to the party because he wants her to become Ling's future wife. Ling immediately smiles and says, "Dad, isn't Dr. Yoon your favorite student? And Meng Meng is so beautiful. Those two would make a perfect couple together. So why are you trying to match her with me?" From this conversation, it's easy to tell that Ling has always felt like his father values Dr. Yoon more than his own son, and that's something he's never been able to accept. Just then, Ling's manager reminds him that he needs to handle the media carefully. He says, "Today we're going to introduce Shasha as your girlfriend." As Shasha walks over and stands beside him, Ling feels incredibly uncomfortable. He has always avoided getting close to her. Now he's expected to act like she's his girlfriend in front of everyone, and he simply can't bring himself to do it. While feeling conflicted, Ling suddenly remembers how Tian took care of him when he was sick. He remembers the hot soup she made for him and how sincerely she looked after him. Thinking about all of that, Ling suddenly walks straight toward Tian. Without warning, he grabs her hand and announces in front of all the reporters, "This is my girlfriend, my fiancé, the woman I want to marry. She's the girl in those viral photos." Before Tian can even react, Ling suddenly kisses her. The entire hall falls silent. Tian is so shocked that she completely freezes. It takes her until the next day to fully process what happened. The moment she realizes Ling kissed her without permission, she becomes absolutely furious. As revenge, she takes Ling's toothbrush and uses it to brush a dog's teeth. Later, when Ling comes home, Tian firmly tells him, "I can never become your fiancé." Ling calmly replies, "Fine, then don't become my fiancé. Become my wife instead." This time, Ling speaks seriously. He says, "Look, both of us are responsible for what's happening. If you hadn't blackmailed me that day, that picture would have never gone viral, and none of these problems would have happened. Since I also made mistakes, I'll take responsibility too." Then he offers Tian a deal. "Become my contract wife for 1 year. After that, I'll return your house to you." Meanwhile, Ling's manager is completely overwhelmed, wondering how he's supposed to control the media after all this. Just then, Ling walks over and confidently says, "Simply announce that I'm getting married. That'll solve everything. Once people hear about my marriage, all the dating rumors and negative news will disappear on their own." On the other hand, Tian is now facing an entirely different dilemma. Completely confused by Ling's unexpected proposal, she goes to her friend to ask for advice. After listening to everything, her friend says, "This isn't a bad deal at all. If pretending to be his wife for just 1 year means you'll get your house back, then you should accept it. Once the media loses interest in your relationship, I'll find the perfect opportunity to help you two get divorced. You'll get your house back and everything will go back to normal." However, she gives Tian one important warning. During this entire year, you're absolutely not allowed to fall in love with Ling. Without hesitation, Tian replies, "There's no way I'd ever fall in love with a cold-hearted jerk like him." Later, Tian remembers all the precious memories she shared with her father inside that house. Thinking about everything, she tells herself, "If pretending to be his wife is the only way to get my home back, then I'll do it." Soon afterward, Tian meets Ling to discuss the contract. She presents her own conditions first, and then Ling explains his. One of the most important rules is that, in front of the entire world, they must behave exactly like a real married couple. However, behind closed doors, there will be absolutely no romantic relationship between them. Another condition is that Tian can never reveal to anyone that their marriage is only a contract. If she breaks the agreement, the contract will immediately be canceled and she won't receive the house. After thinking it over, Tian agrees to every condition. The two of them then hold a press conference to officially announce their marriage. When Tian arrives, she's dressed so beautifully that even Ling can't stop staring at her. Meanwhile, Tian becomes extremely nervous after seeing so many reporters. Noticing this, Ling quietly reaches out his hand toward her. Tian holds his hand, instantly feeling much calmer. Together, they walk in front of the media and begin acting like a loving couple. Meanwhile, Ling's family watches the entire press conference on television. His grandmother is especially happy after seeing the two of them together. During the interview, the reporters ask several questions about their relationship. Since none of it is real, both Ling and Tian start making up sweet stories and praising each other. Their chemistry looks so natural that everyone in the media starts calling them an adorable couple. Soon after, they officially register their marriage. The next event is their wedding ceremony. For the occasion, Ling's manager chooses a gorgeous white wedding gown for Tian. Meanwhile, Ling's family invites Tian over before the wedding because they want to get to know their future daughter-in-law. Ling's grandmother asks her several difficult questions. Fortunately, Ling arrives just in time to rescue his contract wife from the awkward situation. Unfortunately, the atmosphere quickly turns tense once again as Ling and his father begin arguing. Not wanting to stay there any longer, Ling leaves with Tian. On the way back home, the two of them start arguing again. Finally, Tian gets so frustrated that she says, "Stop the car, I'll leave from here." Ling coldly replies, "Fine, get out. I don't have any interest in giving someone like you a ride anyway." So Tian gets out of the car. However, in her anger, she accidentally leaves both her phone and her wallet inside the vehicle. Now she has neither money nor a phone to ask anyone for help. She is left standing there completely alone. After driving away, Ling suddenly realizes what happened. Feeling worried, he turns the car around. But before he can find her, Dr. Yoon happens to drive by. Recognizing Tian, he kindly offers her a ride and she leaves with him. Meanwhile, Ling searches every nearby road for Tian but can't find her. Eventually, he returns home, but he can't stop worrying about her, so he heads back out to continue searching. Meanwhile, Tian is emotionally exhausted. Instead of going home, she visits her friend and drinks far too much. The following morning is their wedding day. Reporters, family members, and close friends have already gathered. The only problem is, the bride is nowhere to be seen. Ling becomes extremely nervous because if Tian doesn't show up, he has no idea what excuse he'll give the media. Just as he's about to make an announcement, Tian suddenly arrives in her beautiful wedding dress. Everyone breathes a sigh of relief, and in front of the entire world, they officially become husband and wife. When it's time for the wedding kiss, Ling quietly whispers, "Don't even think about creating a scene." Fortunately, the ceremony goes smoothly. After the wedding, the newlyweds leave for their honeymoon. However, they don't spend a single peaceful moment together. Since several advertising companies are sponsoring the trip, many staff members travel with them. So, although they constantly argue in private, they have to pretend to be the happiest couple whenever others are around. When they reach their hotel room, they discover there's only one bed. Ling immediately claims it and casually tells Tian, "If you want to sleep, you'll have to sleep here. Otherwise, find somewhere else." Annoyed, Tian grabs a pillow and spends the night on the balcony. Meanwhile, Ling looks completely relaxed, enjoying every moment of the vacation. Watching him have such a great time only makes Tian even angrier. Eventually, the mosquitoes become unbearable, forcing her to sneak back inside. The moment Ling sees her lying on the bed, he gets irritated too. Refusing to lose the argument, Tian mischievously shoves one of her smelly socks toward Ling, making him smell it. From morning until night, the two keep pulling childish pranks on each other. Honestly, they fight so so much that they look exactly like Tom and Jerry living under the same roof. But one thing is certain, Tian is definitely not the kind of girl who gives up easily. Of course, after Ling suddenly takes off his pants, Tian, being a girl, can't stay in the room any longer. Completely embarrassed, she immediately runs outside. Honestly, Ling came up with a pretty effective ninja technique to chase her away. The next day, they attend another photo shoot, this time for a jewelry company. Tian wears several expensive pieces during the shoot. However, after everything is over, they realize one of the rings has gone missing. When Tian hears how expensive it is, she becomes terrified. She thinks, even if I worked my entire life, I could never afford something this expensive. Meanwhile, the manager reminds her that every piece must be returned because it's crucial for the company's reputation. Although Ling repeatedly tells Tian not to worry, she refuses to give up and keeps searching everywhere. Hours pass, then night falls, but Tian still hasn't returned. Seeing she's been gone for so long, Ling begins worrying. He waits late into the night before eventually falling asleep. The next morning, he finds Tian still searching. Seeing how exhausted she is, Ling smiles and lies, "Relax, it was just a fake ring. Why are you stressing over it so much?" Hearing that, Tian finally calms down. At the same time, she gets a little annoyed. "If it was fake, why didn't you tell me from the beginning?" Later, they move on to another photo shoot featuring horseback riding. During the shoot, one horse suddenly gets out of control. Before anyone can react, Tian quickly calms it down. Ling is genuinely impressed. "How did you do that?" Tian smiles. "My father taught me. When I was little, we used to ride horses together all the time." As time passes, they continue living under the same roof. Even though they're together almost every day, they never stop arguing. Meanwhile, Ling's manager secretly assigns an assistant to keep an eye on them and see whether any real romance is developing. The following day, the missing ring is finally found. Tian becomes incredibly happy. Ling tells her to return it. However, believing it's fake, Tian refuses. "It's so beautiful, why don't I just keep it?" Seeing her smile, Ling gently places the ring on her finger himself. "Of course, you can keep it. It's only a fake anyway." But in reality, the ring isn't fake at all. It's the original one. Later, Ling quietly pays for it himself without telling Tian. After finishing their honeymoon, they return home. One day, Tian is playing the piano when Ling walks over, takes her seat, and starts playing instead. While playing, he teaches her several important composition techniques and gives her valuable advice. Afterward, he suddenly asks, "Why don't we go out for dinner sometime?" At first, Tian refuses, but the moment she realizes he'll probably pay for an expensive meal, she immediately changes her mind. The following day, Tian attends an interview for a music composer position. However, she soon realizes the company isn't interested in her talent at all. They only want to hire her because she's Ling's wife. Tian hates that idea. She wants people to recognize her because of her own talent, not because of her husband's fame. Later that evening, she arrives at the restaurant where Ling invited her. Unfortunately, Ling is still busy with his manager. When Tian calls him, the manager realizes they've planned a dinner date and deliberately keeps Ling occupied. Every time Tian calls again, the manager secretly rejects the call before Ling notices. He even convinces Ling to stay longer by saying, "It's been 7 years since we've worked together, shouldn't we celebrate?" Then he gives Ling a big hug. Honestly, the manager's behavior feels a little suspicious. Meanwhile, poor Tian keeps waiting alone. She waits and waits. Every call she makes is secretly disconnected by the manager. To make matters worse, he keeps serving Ling more alcohol until he gets completely drunk. Since the manager is drunk as well, Ling helps him home before returning. Meanwhile, Tian waits until midnight. By then, every customer has already left the restaurant. Realizing Ling isn't coming, she sadly heads home. A little later, Ling also returns home completely drunk. The moment Tian sees him, she gets furious. "Why didn't you answer any of my calls?" Still drunk, Ling replies, "Why are you trying so hard to act like my real wife? Don't forget, we're only married because of a contract. I had important work." Hearing those words breaks Tian's heart. The next day, Tian visits a music store and unexpectedly runs into Dr. Yoon again. While chatting, they discover they share the same passion for music. Soon, they both notice a recorder they really like. Unfortunately, there was only one, and Dr. Yoon had already bought it. Seeing Tian's disappointment, Dr. Yoon smiles. "Then I'd like you to have it." Tian immediately refuses such an expensive gift. Instead, she says, "Then at least let me treat you to lunch." So the two of them head out together. Meanwhile, Ling happens to be nearby for work. When he sees Tian happily having lunch with Dr. Yoon, he immediately becomes jealous. Without asking, he sits beside them, grabs Tian's hand, and repeatedly calls her honey. The truth is, Ling has always been jealous of Dr. Yoon because his father constantly praised Dr. Yoon while criticizing Ling. Throughout lunch, Ling pretends to be the perfect husband, but the more he watches Tian and Dr. Yoon laughing together, the more jealous he becomes. Finally, he suddenly says, "We have to leave immediately. Grandma isn't feeling well." Without giving Tian time to question him, he takes her away. On the way home, Ling casually asks, "So, since when did you become friends with Dr. Yoon?" Tian replies, "We met on that bus the other day." Then she jokingly adds, "Besides, you and I met in a taxi and somehow you ended up marrying me." Hearing that, Ling awkwardly changes the subject. A moment later, he secretly dials the wrong number and pretends to receive a call. Oh, Grandma is completely fine now, but Tian insists on visiting anyway. When they arrive, she quickly realizes Grandma was perfectly healthy all along. Everything Ling said was a lie. Ironically, after hearing about Ling's fake story, Grandma becomes so upset that she genuinely starts feeling unwell. As a result, the whole family scolds Ling. Later, Ling is working at his agency when a masked delivery girl arrives with a food order. A second later, he realizes the delivery girl is actually his own wife. He immediately follows Tian outside. "Don't ever do this kind of work again. What if someone recognizes you?" Tomorrow's headlines will say, "The famous idol's wife works as a delivery girl." Tian immediately answers, "But this is my job. I have to earn a living. I'm not a superstar like you who can make millions just by sitting in an office. You have no idea how ordinary people struggle every day." Her words hit Ling much harder than he expected. Later, Ling secretly notes down Tian's workplace. The next day, he visits the coffee shop where she works. Smiling, he says, "I've decided I want to experience an ordinary life too." Coincidentally, a children's party is being held there. Tian immediately puts him to work. "If you really want to experience a normal life, then try making these kids happy." At first, Ling has no idea how to handle children, but little by little, he starts enjoying himself. Soon, he and Tian are laughing together while playing with the kids. During all the fun, they accidentally end up hugging each other. The unexpected hug leaves both of them blushing. Just then, one little boy asks, "Do you like this pretty lady? Is she your girlfriend?" Ling smiles. "No, she's not my girlfriend." Then he proudly adds, "She's my wife." The little boy immediately starts crying. "She cheated on me. I thought she liked me, but she married you instead." Meanwhile, someone secretly takes pictures of Ling and Tian together inside the coffee shop. The photos quickly spread across the internet. When Ling's manager sees them, he becomes furious and immediately scolds the assistant. The manager clearly isn't happy about Ling and Tian getting closer, and very soon we'll find out the real reason behind his strange behavior. Meanwhile, Dr. Yoon invites Tian to a special place filled with beautiful horses. Since she's loved horses since childhood, she becomes incredibly excited. The place also has a museum, and Tian happily looks around. Unfortunately, Ling also finds out where they are. Seeing Tian enjoying herself with Dr. Yoon only makes him even more jealous. He immediately calls her. "Where are you and who are you with? Come home right now." Tian calmly replies, "Why does it matter where I am?" Then she hangs up. After the call, Tian tells Dr. Yoon, "When I was little, I used to visit places like this all the time. I also had a childhood friend. Whenever I felt worried or sad, he was always there to comfort me." Later, after Tian returns home, Ling repeatedly asks where she had been. However, Tian is completely focused on composing music and barely responds. Feeling ignored, Ling deliberately starts making as much noise as possible just to interrupt her concentration. Before long, another huge argument breaks out. Frustrated, Tian says, "Stay away from me." But Ling immediately replies, "Don't forget, even though this is a contract marriage, it's still a marriage. I don't want anyone finding out our relationship is fake." A little later, Tian lies to Ling, saying she's helping her friend Sha with work. However, Ling secretly follows her. Eventually, he arrives at an ice cream truck where Tian is celebrating with her friends. Only then does he realize something important. Today is Tian's birthday. The moment he finds out, he genuinely wants to do something special for her. He buys her a gift and even practices giving it to her in front of a mirror. Later, Ling asks Tian to meet him somewhere. Unfortunately, she never shows up. The reason is that Dr. Yoon has already invited her to meet a famous music producer. Interestingly, the producer is also a wedding dress designer. After listening to Tian's composition, the producer smiles. "Your music has great potential. There are a few mistakes, but don't worry, we'll fix them together." Hearing that, Tian becomes incredibly happy. For the first time, someone recognizes her because of her own talent instead of because she's Ling's wife. Meanwhile, Ling anxiously waits for Tian. Seeing how worried he looks, Xia tells him she probably went to the park. She visits that place every year on her birthday. Without wasting any time, Ling rushes rushes to the park. Unfortunately, no matter how much he disguises himself, fans recognize him everywhere. After searching the entire park and failing to find Tian, he finally gives up and returns home. A while later, Tian also returns home. By then, Ling is already upset. Just then, Tian notices social media flooded with funny pictures of Ling wearing heavy disguises while wandering outside. Confused, she asks what happened. Ling replies, "All of this happened because of you. I was out there looking for you." Realizing what he had done, Tian sincerely apologizes. Ling quickly forgives her and takes her to a special place. It turns out he has privately booked an entire ice skating rink just for the two of them. Since Tian doesn't know how to skate, Ling patiently teaches her. The two spend a wonderful evening together. At one point, Tian almost falls, but Ling catches her in his arms. While holding her, he softly says, "Happy birthday." The moment Tian hears those words, her face lights up. She never expected Ling to remember her birthday, and that simple gesture makes her feel truly special. Meanwhile, Ling has left his phone on a nearby bench. His manager keeps calling him over and over again. Completely drunk, the manager desperately wants Ling to come meet him. When Ling doesn't answer, he becomes furious, assuming Ling is spending romantic time with Tian. Meanwhile, we're introduced to another famous idol named Lin. Lin has always been jealous of Ling's success. He believes Ling only became this famous because of his manager's support. Later, Ling's grandmother invites Tian to spend time with the family. She wants to teach Tian how to properly manage a household and become a good wife. Ling comes along as well. Instead of helping, he simply enjoys watching Tian struggle through all the difficult tasks. Eventually, Grandma sends Tian into the traditional kitchen. As expected, Ling follows her inside, and within minutes they start arguing again. However, the moment Grandma walks in, Tian cleverly makes everything look like Ling's fault. Trying to save himself, Ling confidently says, "Fine, I'll cook today's meal." Grandma immediately tells Tian to go outside and rest. While Tian relaxes, Ling struggles to make fish soup. A little later, Tian discovers he has simply thrown raw fish into the soup without preparing it. Eventually, they serve the meal to Grandma. Surprisingly, she likes it, but while eating, a fish bone gets stuck in her throat. Everyone panics and rushes her to the hospital. Tian becomes extremely worried because Grandma has become like family to her. Fortunately, Grandma recovers after treatment. While Tian stays by her side, Ling's father quietly notices their warm relationship. Meanwhile, Dr. Yoon is also working at the same hospital. Tian runs into him during a terrible moment. One of his patients has just attacked him, leaving him injured. As the staff treat his wounds, Tian stays beside him and plays soothing music to distract him from the pain. Listening to the melody, Dr. Yoon suddenly remembers his childhood friend, who used to play exactly like this. Looking at Tian, a shocking thought crosses his mind. Could she be that childhood friend? He grabs Tian's hand and asks, "Are you?" But before he can finish, Ling suddenly arrives. The moment he sees Dr. Yoon holding Tian's hand, jealousy completely takes over. He immediately pulls Tian toward himself. "Let go of my wife's hand! Have you forgotten she's a married woman?" Without giving Dr. Yoon a chance to respond, Ling takes Tian away. The following day, Ling secretly buys several red elephant toys and even a book about them after learning how meaningful they are to Tian. At this point, it's obvious that he's constantly looking for little ways to make her happy. Meanwhile, Tian prepares homemade food for Dr. Yoon and personally brings it to his office. Seeing this, Dr. Yoon gently says, "Your husband was right yesterday. You're a married woman." Tian smiles. "I know I'm his wife, but you're also one of my closest friends." After she leaves, Dr. Yoon quietly eats the meal while thinking about his childhood. The more he remembers his old friend, the more Tian's face appears in his mind. For the first time, he realizes his feelings for Tian may have become something more than friendship. Later, we learn that Tian never learned how to ride a bicycle, so Ling buys her one and personally starts teaching her. Everything is going well until Ling's manager suddenly arrives. He quietly tells Ling, "Don't you think you two are getting a little too close? Have you forgotten this is only a contract marriage?" To make things worse, he deliberately hugs Ling right in front of Tian. The moment Tian sees them hugging, she loses her concentration, falls off the bicycle, and hits her head. Ling immediately rushes her to the hospital. When Dr. Yoon hears what happened, he scolds Ling. After several tests, Tian is moved into a hospital room. However, she still hasn't regained consciousness. Watching her lying there makes Ling extremely worried. Meanwhile, reporters gather outside the hospital. Seeing another publicity opportunity, the manager tells his assistant, "Take some pictures and release them to the media." But this time, Ling refuses. He doesn't want Tian's accident to become another publicity stunt. Even after being warned, the manager secretly takes the photos anyway. A little later, Tian finally wakes up. Soon, the doctor arrives with her test results. Because of the head injury, Tian has developed selective amnesia. She remembers everyone from before the accident. However, everyone she met afterward, including Ling and Dr. Yoon, has completely disappeared from her memory. Looking at them with confusion, she asks, "Excuse me, who are you?" Everyone is shocked. Fortunately, the doctor explains the memory loss is only temporary. Meanwhile, Tian keeps staring at Ling's face, trying desperately to remember him. Then she suddenly says, "That doctor who treated me is really handsome." Of course, she's talking about Dr. Yoon. Hearing Tian praise another man right in front of him makes Ling incredibly jealous. Trying one last time, he asks, "So, you really don't remember who I am?" Tian innocently shakes her head. Still annoyed, Ling jokes, "I'm your brother." Tian immediately believes him. "Oh, so you're my brother." Soon afterward, Ling's mother and grandmother visit and show Tian several wedding photos, hoping they'll help her recover. Instead, Tian points at Ling and says, "But that's my brother. Why am I dressed like a bride at my brother's wedding?" Both Grandma and Ling's mother are left speechless. Now they realize Tian's memory problem is much worse than they thought. Sometimes she calls Ling honey. The next moment, she treats him like her brother. Although Ling spends almost all of his time taking care of Tian, he never tells her their marriage is only a contract. Even with her memory loss, one thing never changes. Whenever the two stay together, they still fight like Tom and Jerry. Watching them, even Dr. Yoon can't help feeling confused. Meanwhile, the manager looks unusually heartbroken. It's finally obvious that he has romantic feelings for Ling. One day, Ling and Tian are watching a movie when Ling's father unexpectedly arrives. Panicking, Ling hides underneath Tian's blanket. When his father calls Ling's phone, the ringtone immediately starts playing from under the blanket. Only then does he realize where Ling is hiding. Instead of getting angry, he quietly smiles and leaves, believing the couple is simply being romantic. Later, Tian is finally discharged from the hospital. Before leaving, Dr. Yoon repeatedly reminds Ling to take good care of her. Seeing how concerned he is only makes Ling jealous again. After returning home, Ling suddenly remembers that the contract marriage documents are still inside the bedroom. He immediately starts hiding them before Tian notices. Watching him panic, Tian becomes confused. Did we always sleep in separate rooms? What kind of husband and wife are we? While searching, Ling accidentally lets Tian see part of the contract before quickly hiding it again. Although she becomes suspicious, Ling somehow covers it up. Meanwhile, the manager learns Ling is still hiding the truth. Furious, he says, "You should tell her everything." However, Ling refuses. Tian is still recovering. I can't hurt her right now. That night, Ling returns home and finds Tian already sleeping on his bed. Since she believes they're a normal married couple, she naturally wants to sleep beside him. Meanwhile, Ling feels incredibly awkward. Tian asks, "Why are you staying so far away from me?" Ling quietly lies down at the edge of the bed. A few moments later, Tian accidentally bumps into his injured leg while reaching for the air conditioner remote. Feeling guilty, she carefully applies medicine to his wound. However, the medicine has an extremely strong smell. Ling immediately uses that as an excuse. "I'll never be able to sleep with this smell. I'll sleep outside instead." Meanwhile, Ling's manager couldn't stop thinking about the two of them growing closer. Unable to sleep all night, he finally showed Tian the marriage contract the next morning. "Maybe you've lost your memory, but you still deserve to know the truth." Believing this would keep them apart, he finally felt relieved. Later that day, Ling returned home and found Tian sitting alone with a sad expression. Wanting to cheer her up, he offered to cook something for her. Instead, Tian showed him the marriage contract and said the manager had already told her everything. Hearing that, Ling became completely speechless. A few days later, Xia invited both Tian and Ling to meet her somewhere. After she left, Tian immediately called Ling and asked him to come home. Even though Ling was extremely busy, he left everything behind. However, after arriving, he discovered she simply wanted him to accompany her to Xia's place. He became annoyed but still agreed because Tian was recovering. On the other hand, when Ling's manager learned Ling had abandoned work just because Tian called, he was absolutely furious. Soon, Ling and Tian arrived at the meeting place and learned that Xia wanted Ling to promote a certain brand. The moment the famous celebrity appeared, several girls surrounded him asking for photos. Tian immediately pulled Ling away, helped him into the car, then walked back and splashed water on the girls, demanding they delete every photo. Frightened, they quickly erased them. Unfortunately, by the time Ling reached work, he was already too late. His manager scolded him for abandoning such important work. The next day, Ling took Tian back to the place where they had first met. As soon as she arrived, all of her memories suddenly came rushing back. She remembered everything, including the contract marriage. Without saying a word, Tian quietly returned home. Now that her memory had returned, she became just as fiery as before. She confronted Ling for hiding the truth and accused him of taking advantage of her while she had lost her memory. Ling immediately defended himself. "If anything, you're the one who tried to take advantage of me. You hugged me, kept calling me honey, and even wanted to sleep beside me." Right in the middle of their argument, Ling's assistant arrived carrying their wedding photos. Since neither of them wanted to keep the pictures in their bedroom anymore, they decided to hang them in the living room instead. Sometime later, Tian visited her favorite music shop and unexpectedly met Dr. Yoon. She happily told him that all of her memories had returned, making him genuinely happy. Meanwhile, while Ling was alone at home, Xia accidentally discovered the couple's marriage contract. The moment she read it, she realized their marriage was completely fake. She immediately confronted Ling and threatened to expose everything unless he paid her. After thinking for a moment, Ling offered her a deal instead. He promised to arrange a good job for her through his agency if she kept the secret, and Xia happily accepted. However, none of them realized that Dr. Yoon had been standing outside the house the entire time. Earlier, Tian had left her handbag behind, and he had come to return it. As soon as he arrived, he overheard the entire conversation and learned the truth about their contract marriage. However, Dr. Yoon acted as if he hadn't heard anything. He simply returned Tian's handbag and quietly left. A little later, Tian thanked Ling for helping her friend get a job. To repay him, she invited him out on a movie date, and Ling happily agreed. The next morning, Ling arrived at work, where his manager excitedly informed him that a famous director wanted to cast him in a major movie. Opportunities like this were rare, so he told Ling to get ready for the meeting. Just as Ling sat down to read the script, Tian suddenly called. She said she was already waiting outside and jokingly asked whether he planned to keep her waiting again like last time. The moment Ling heard those words, he remembered the previous incident. Without thinking twice, he abandoned everything and rushed out to meet Tian. Naturally, when his manager found out, he was furious once again. Around the same time, another famous idol named Lin came to meet the manager. She praised his incredible talent and even offered him a position as her own manager, but he turned her down without hesitation. Meanwhile, Ling finally reached Tian. Although she was upset at first, he quickly managed to cheer her up, and the two spent the rest of the day happily together. Before long, Tian leaned her head on Ling's shoulder, making the entire moment feel incredibly romantic. While they were enjoying their date, Director Gu's meeting had already begun. Only Ling's manager attended. When the director asked why Ling wasn't there, the manager calmly explained that Ling was busy finishing previous commitments, so he could fully dedicate himself to the new project later. This scene clearly showed just how professional and capable the manager really was. Later, Ling and Tian returned home after a wonderful day together. During their conversation, Tian wanted to ask something that had been bothering her for quite a while. Ever since she saw the manager hugging Ling, she secretly wondered whether the two of them liked each other. However, she became too embarrassed and kept the question to herself. The following day, Ling returned to work, only to find his manager still extremely angry. As punishment, he canceled Ling's entire schedule and sarcastically said, "Forget concerts, forget rehearsals, just spend your time with your wife." Hearing this left Ling quite upset. Through his assistant, he also learned that Lin had visited the manager the previous day. On the other hand, Dr. Yoon was performing heart surgery, but his mind was completely elsewhere. Because he was so distracted, he ended up making a small mistake. Afterward, Ling's father noticed his unusual behavior and jokingly asked whether he had gotten into a fight with his girlfriend. Dr. Yoon denied having a girlfriend at all, but every time he heard the word girlfriend, the only face that appeared in his mind was Tian's. Meanwhile, Ling wanted to fix things with his manager, so he invited him over to his house. The manager couldn't hide his disappointment. He reminded Ling that he had always been serious about his career and explained how difficult it had been to convince Director Gu after Ling skipped such an important meeting. Fortunately, the director had still agreed to give Ling the leading role. Realizing how much trouble his manager had gone through, Ling sincerely apologized and promised to never let something like this happen again. Later, while talking with Tian, Ling admitted that all these problems had happened because he had rushed to meet her that day. Tian smiled and said that since everything was fine now, they should go out together again. This time, she wanted to visit a children's activity center, and Ling happily agreed. After that, Tian invited Xia to come along as well. Since Xia was now working at Ling's agency, the manager overheard the conversation. Thinking Ling and Tian were planning yet another romantic date, he secretly sent his assistant to follow them and take pictures. While spending time together, Ling finally opened up about his past. He revealed that his father had forced him into medical school, even though he had no interest in becoming a doctor. After studying there for a year, he finally dropped out. He then explained that ever since then, Ning had supported him every step of the way and introduced him to the music industry. Ling admitted that everything he had achieved today was possible because of Ning. Elsewhere, Tian accidentally injured her foot while taking her dog for a walk. Back at the office, Ling and Ning got into another argument. Frustrated, Ling walked away, but after following him for a few steps, Ning suddenly collapsed. Ling immediately rushed him to the hospital. There, the doctors revealed that Ning had been suffering from a serious gastric ulcer for a long time, but had kept it a secret. After learning the truth, Ling stayed by his side throughout the entire night. Meanwhile, Tian waited for Ling until very late, but he never came home. The next morning, she found Ling preparing soup. He explained that Ning was sick and that he had made the soup especially for him. Seeing Ling prepare soup for Ning made Tian feel a little disappointed. Even so, she decided to visit him together with Ling. Once they arrived, Tian noticed that Ling was taking care of Ning in exactly the same way he had once taken care of her. At that moment, she realized she wasn't as special to Ling as she had started to believe. The more she thought about it, the more insecure she became. She reminded herself that she was nothing more than Ling's contract wife. Sooner or later, their agreement would end, and perhaps Ling and Ning would finally end up together. Meanwhile, Ning couldn't have been happier because he could clearly tell Tian was getting jealous. Ling also noticed Tian had become unusually quiet. He tried explaining that she had completely misunderstood his relationship with Ning. They were nothing more than a manager and an idol who had worked together for years, but Tian simply couldn't stop overthinking. While they were still at the hospital, Tian unexpectedly ran into Dr. Yoon. He immediately noticed her injured foot and carefully treated it. Seeing how sad she looked, he suggested taking her somewhere to cheer her up. Since Tian desperately wanted to get her mind off Ling, she agreed. The two ended up having a few drinks together. However, Tian drank far more than she should have. By the time they returned home, she was completely drunk, and Dr. Yoon was accompanying her. The moment Ling saw them together, he became furious. He angrily asked Dr. Yoon why he had allowed Tian to drink so much. Dr. Yoon calmly replied, "Maybe you didn't even notice how badly she hurt her foot. You don't seem to care about her at all." Ling then turned toward Tian and asked how she could go drinking alone with another man. Still drunk and emotionally hurt, Tian fired back, "At least I came home after drinking. You spent the entire night with Ning taking care of him. Did I complain? Have you forgotten that we're only a contract couple?" Hearing those words made Ling furious. Without saying another word, he walked into his room. That night, both of them were left deeply hurt. The following day, Tian decided to leave the house for a while. She left Ling a note explaining that she would be staying with Sha for a few days. While helping Sha with work, someone secretly took photos of Tian and uploaded them online, leading people to speculate that she and her husband had gotten into a fight. When Ning saw those rumors, he secretly felt delighted. Not long afterward, Ning came up with another clever plan. He ordered food from Tian's delivery service and even invited several reporters to the location. When Tian arrived, Ning took a photo of her and proudly told the media that she was such a caring wife that she personally prepared meals for both her husband and his staff. Afterward, he reminded Tian that as long as she remained in the contract marriage, she should continue fulfilling her responsibilities as Ling's wife. A little later, Ling arrived and was relieved to see Tian. He sincerely asked her to come back home, and after thinking for a while, she finally agreed. Once Tian returned, she found that Ling had prepared a special surprise for her. During their conversation, Ling mentioned that their contract would expire in 6 months. The moment Tian heard that, she assumed he was preparing to talk about divorce. Deep down, she realized that the longer she stayed by his side, the harder it would become to leave him. So she quietly suggested that maybe they should end the marriage now instead of waiting. The moment Ling heard the word divorce, he completely lost his temper. He immediately told her he had no intention of divorcing her before storming away. A few days later, Ling happened to see Tian and Dr. Yoon walking out of the same music store together. Seeing them side by side made him misunderstand everything. He convinced himself that Tian wanted a divorce because she had fallen for Dr. Yoon. In reality, that wasn't the case at all. Later that evening, Tian prepared mooncakes for Ling because the Mid-Autumn Festival was approaching. But instead of appreciating her effort, Ling told her that after thinking about what she had said, he believed getting divorced might actually be the best solution. Tian didn't argue. She simply suggested waiting until after the festival before discussing divorce again. Soon, the two visited Ling's family home for the Mid-Autumn Festival. As expected, Ling's parents immediately asked when they planned to have a baby. The question instantly created an awkward atmosphere because Tian knew they were already talking about divorce. A little later, Ling's mother presented Tian with a beautiful family bracelet. Although Tian kept trying to distance herself from Ling and his family, she found herself becoming more emotionally attached to them. Ling wasn't doing any better either. The thought of divorcing Tian was already causing him a great deal of pain. Since they were staying at his parents' house, they had no choice but to share the same bed. Ironically, neither of them managed to get any sleep. Sometime later, Tian finally began pursuing her dream by taking music lessons from a professional teacher. The opportunity had been recommended by Dr. Yoon, and Tian couldn't have been happier. Meanwhile, Ling showed one of Tian's compositions to a famous director, hoping to help her career. However, the director smiled and said he already knew Tian because she was one of his students, and that Dr. Yoon had personally introduced her. Hearing that made Ling feel disappointed. The things he had wanted to do for Tian were already being done by Dr. Yoon. Later, Tian invited Dr. Yoon to dinner to thank him. During the meal, something hot accidentally spilled onto her hand. Dr. Yoon immediately grabbed her hand to check the burn, without caring that his own hand had also been burned. Meanwhile, Ning secretly took a photo of the two together. During dinner, Dr. Yoon once again talked about his childhood friend who always protected and encouraged him. The truth was that he had already realized Tian was that childhood friend. However, Tian still couldn't remember any of it. On the other hand, Ling was sitting at home drinking alone while waiting for Tian. Looking at their photos together, he couldn't stop thinking that if only they never had to get divorced, everything would have been perfect. Eventually, Tian came home. Ling immediately asked whether she wanted a divorce because of Dr. Yoon. Tian quickly denied it. Ling continued asking whether it was because he joked too much or argued with her too often. Once again, Tian shook her head and gently told him not to overthink things. Then Ling quietly held her hand and fell asleep beside her. Meanwhile, Ning secretly arranged to meet Dr. Yoon. As soon as they met, Ning showed him the photo and proposed that they work together. Dr. Yoon replied that he already knew Ling and Tian's marriage was fake. However, he reminded Ning that he had been the one who arranged the contract marriage in the first place. So why was he suddenly trying so hard to separate them? Ning admitted that arranging the marriage had been a huge mistake. Even so, Dr. Yoon refused to cooperate. Before leaving, Ning simply smiled and said, "I'll be waiting. Sooner or later, you'll come to me for help." The following day, Dr. Yoon called Tian and told her he had a surprise waiting for her. When Tian arrived, she was shocked to discover the photo album she had been searching for all this time. Dr. Yoon had finally found it for her. Naturally, Tian was overjoyed. Unfortunately, someone secretly photographed the two of them together and sent the picture to the media. Meanwhile, Ling arrived at work in an unusually good mood. He believed that after their heartfelt conversation the previous night, maybe Tian had changed her mind about getting divorced, but that happiness didn't last long. Within a short time, the photo of Tian and Dr. Yoon spread all over social media. People immediately began accusing Tian of cheating on her husband. Seeing those rumors left Ling deeply worried. That night, when Tian returned home, Ling showed her the viral photo and directly asked whether she was dating Dr. Yoon. He admitted that it wasn't just the picture, he had personally seen them too, together several times. Tian calmly explained that there was absolutely nothing between them. However, when Ling kept raising his voice, Tian finally snapped. "Even if I were dating him, why would it matter to you? Our relationship is nothing more than a contract." Those words completely shattered Ling's self-control. Without thinking, he suddenly pulled Tian toward him and kissed her. He then confessed, "Of course it matters, because I'm your husband." But instead of accepting the kiss, Tian immediately slapped him across the face. After that incident, Tian disappeared. Neither Ling, Dr. Yoon, nor any of her friends could find her anywhere. Ling was overwhelmed with guilt, believing she had left because he had forced that kiss on her. Fortunately, Dr. Yoon eventually managed to find Tian before anyone else. Ironically, Tian had expected Ling to be the first person to come looking for her. The following day, Dr. Yoon visited Tian again at the safe place where she was staying. This time, Tian told him they should keep some distance from each other because she didn't want to create problems in anyone's life. Meanwhile, Ling searched everywhere for Tian, almost driving himself crazy. Back at the agency, Ning scolded him for neglecting work and leaving all the responsibilities to him. But Ling no longer cared about his career. He finally admitted, "Yes, our marriage started with a contract, but somewhere along the way, I fell in love with her. I truly love Tian." Those words left Ning completely speechless. Meanwhile, Dr. Yoon met Ning, suspecting he had leaked the photos. However, Ning denied everything and insisted he would never destroy Ling's career. Instead, He told Dr. Yoon to spend more time with Tian because Ling had already confessed his love. Later, Dr. Yoon called Ling. When Ling begged to speak with Tian, Dr. Yoon told him to meet the next morning if he wanted answers. When they met, Dr. Yoon revealed that the viral photo had been edited and that he and Tian had never been that close. He then criticized Ling for doubting his own wife, saying his lack of trust was exactly why Tian had left. Ling demanded to know where Tian was, but Dr. Yoon coldly replied that Ling was only her contract husband and had no right to keep hurting her. After that conversation, Ling once again suspected Ning. He confronted him about the leaked photos, but Ning reminded him they had worked together for years and asked why he would ever ruin the career they had built. He also admitted that Ling had completely changed ever since Tian entered his life. Finally, Ling took matters into his own hands. He posted publicly that he trusted Tian completely and would stand by her no matter what. Seeing Ling defend Tian filled Ning with frustration because he had hoped the scandal would separate them. However, Ling's statement slowly silenced the rumors. Tian also saw the post. Although it made her happy, it left her even more confused about their relationship. Ling desperately tried to apologize, but Tian refused to speak with him. Even so, he admitted he should have trusted her from the beginning instead of doubting her. After hearing his apology, Tian quietly walked away. Later, after turning her phone back on, she found a message from Ling saying, "When are you coming home? I'm waiting for you." Meanwhile, Ning confronted Ling again for abandoning his responsibilities. Ling replied that becoming a famous idol didn't mean he had to give up having feelings or living a normal life. Eventually, Tian returned home. Although she remained distant, Ling was simply relieved to have her back. Around the same time, Ling's assistant accidentally discovered the edited photo inside Shasha's gallery. The truth finally came out, and Shasha confessed that she had leaked it because she secretly loved Ling and was jealous of Tian. Only then did Ling realize Ning had been innocent all along. Sometime later, Ling started recording a new song with lyrics written by Tian. Not long afterward, his biggest concert was approaching. Tian asked for several tickets, including one VIP seat in the front row. Ling refused because he had reserved it for his father, even though he believed his father would never attend. Tian simply smiled and told him to leave that to her. The next day, Tian visited the hospital but couldn't find Ling's father. Instead, she met Dr. Yoon and learned it was his birthday, so she bought him a cake. While celebrating, Dr. Yoon confessed he still missed his childhood friend and planned to wait for that person by the seaside 2 days later. What Tian still didn't realize was that she herself was that childhood friend. Coincidentally, the same day was also Ling's concert. Meanwhile, Lin secretly planted someone inside Ning's office, where they found and photographed the contract marriage agreement between Ling and Tian. At the same time, Tian found an old cassette tape in Dr. Yoon's office. The moment she listened to it, all her childhood memories returned, and she finally realized she had been Dr. Yoon's missing childhood friend all along. On the day Dr. Yoon waited by the seaside, he believed Tian would come, but she never did. Not because she had forgotten him, but because her heart already belonged to Ling. Instead of meeting Dr. Yoon, Tian rushed to Ling's concert. Unfortunately, she got trapped in traffic and could only watch the performance on television. Meanwhile, Ling's father unexpectedly arrived at the concert and was escorted to the front row VIP seat. During the performance, Ling sang a heartfelt song about a father's love with lyrics written by Tian. The song deeply moved both Ling's father and Tian. Then, Ling looked toward the front row and was stunned to see his father finally watching his concert. Tears filled his eyes. Later that night, Ling returned home disappointed that Tian hadn't come. However, she hugged him, apologized for being stuck in traffic, and he quickly forgave her. He also returned the repaired recorder. Elsewhere, Dr. Yoon quietly let go of his childhood love. At the same time, Lin threatened Ning, demanding Ling's movie role or she would expose the contract marriage. Ning immediately realized someone inside the company had leaked the confidential documents. On the other hand, Tian learned that the song she had written had been chosen as the soundtrack for director Gu's new film starring Ling. The team celebrated together, and Ling couldn't have been happier to see Tian become part of such an important project. Not long after, Ling secretly prepared a puzzle that revealed a love confession. Unfortunately, Tian's dog scattered all the pieces before she could finish it. Meanwhile, Ning caught the employee leaking information red-handed. Later, Ling took Tian to a special place and finally confessed that he had fallen deeply in love with her. Then he asked, "Do you like me too?" Instead of answering, Tian gently kissed his forehead. The two smiled before embracing embracing each other. Unfortunately, their happiness didn't last long. Lin leaked the contract marriage documents and the news spread everywhere. Soon, Ling's family confronted the couple. This time, they admitted everything, that their relationship had begun with a contract but had turned into genuine love. To their surprise, the family happily accepted them and encouraged them to marry for real. Although that problem was solved, Ling's agency ordered him to blame everything on Tian to save his career. Even Ning advised Tian to take the blame if she truly loved Ling. After thinking about it, Tian reluctantly agreed. However, Ling refused. He declared he would never sacrifice Tian, even if it destroyed his own reputation. Another heated argument broke out between Ling and Ning, who warned that the entertainment industry quickly forgets its stars. Later that night, Ling and Tian spent what they believed would be their final evening together. Eventually, Tian revealed she had accepted the agency's proposal because she wanted their last memories to be happy. The next morning, Ling woke up to find Tian gone. Instead, he went straight to the agency, where countless reporters were waiting. Standing before everyone, Ling confessed the entire truth. He admitted their marriage had started as a contract but had become real love. He openly declared his love for Tian and even announced he was willing to leave his agency. Ironically, Lin's plan only gained Ling even more public support. However, when Ling returned home, Tian was gone. She had left only a letter explaining she couldn't let him sacrifice his career for her. A full year passed without any contact. Eventually, Ling returned to music independently. Before his comeback, Ning wished him good luck, while Dr. Yoon had also moved on with a new relationship. One day, Dr. Yoon unexpectedly met Tian at a flower shop. He learned she had continued writing songs and later handed Ling the shop's business card, simply saying, "Someone is waiting there for you." Ling immediately understood and rushed to the flower shop, the same place where they had spent their honeymoon. The moment they saw each other, they ran into each other's arms. Smiling through tears, Tian joked that Ling hadn't changed at all. Ling laughed and replied, "Of course, your husband is too handsome to change." Tian teased, "You're not my husband." Hearing that, Ling knelt on one knee, took out a ring, and proposed to her once again. This time, there was no contract. No lies, no conditions. Soon afterward, they officially registered their marriage and finally became husband and wife in every sense. During the wedding preparations, Tian chose her own dress, and soon the couple happily posed for their official wedding photos. Ling also made a successful comeback, releasing Midsummer is Full of Love, once again written by Tian. The song became a massive hit, bringing both of them back into the spotlight. And with love and success finally on their side, this heartwarming drama comes to a happy ending.